It's time for the Movin the Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and Jerel Hendricks.
Welcome in to Movin the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today, a very special guest, the head coach of the Mountain View Prep Stars, Ramsey. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks for what you do.
We appreciate you giving us some time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, website movinchains.com, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Ramsey was hired last July. He's been the assistant head coach and on staff at Spartanburg High School for the past 4 seasons. Prior to that, he coached at Chapman High School. Coach, let's just start there. What's this process been like, getting hired almost a year ago now, still being at Spartanburg, kind of moving over to Mountain View Prep? How has all that kind of been shaking out for you here lately?
Yeah, it's definitely been unique. I've been very thankful, obviously, to be able to spend this past year at Spartanburg. I took a job in July. And we were really fresh, and a lot of the things that we're doing now were just thoughts. You didn't really think about getting through that. My priority and our focus was to get through the fall season, obviously, before we started picking up things towards Christmas break and into this semester. So I had the opportunity, which I think is unique for a coach. I think a lot of times in these coaching carousel moments that you end up pursuing a job and you didn't really get to appreciate some of those lasting moments that you had at your other school. Spartanburg's been so important to me and the people that are there and the opportunity that I've had, with the people that I work with, from the staff to the players that were there, was for me something that I really appreciated. We went into every single moment. I had a chance to reflect and pause and realized in some of those moments it could be the last time that I was there, whether it was the last home game, last time with the kids, last time in this type of preparation. So from a personal standpoint, I was really thankful that I got to sit back and kind of enjoy those things that we were dedicated to this last season. And then from that point forward, after Christmas, things have really sped up. We've been really busy trying to get ready for our opening in fall. So excited to get rolling. Excited for summertime, get our staff together and get our kids and our players together and start building our school.
Coach, love hearing the stories of, how you get to this point. We want to do that with you as well. Start about, your start in football. How'd you get it going? How'd you get into coaching? How'd you get to this point here to be the first head coach at Mountain View Prep there?
Yeah, I've been in this area my whole life. I went to Chapman, grew up in Inman, and I played at Chapman. And I'm in this profession, I think, for some of the similar reasons that a lot of coaches are. Growing up in high school, I was impacted by so many of my coaches that I had. I wouldn't say that I had a home life that was to the extreme point, but I was into a point where a lot of those coaches were father figures into my life. So fortunately for me, I developed a lot of motivation early on and self-motivation that I didn't really want my life to be what it was in high school. I wanted it to be a little bit different. And what I started to evaluate was how important it was for those coaches and what they were doing in my life, that it was really evident to me that I wanted to do the same thing. So when I went into college, went to USC Upstate, as soon as I could, I started getting into coaching, started volunteering back in District 1, anywhere from middle school baseball to middle school football, and got involved. I knew it was just something that I really wanted to be a part of and something that I wanted to make a career out of, and wanted to have the opportunity to give back to kids in the same way that a lot of those people had done for me. when Coach Hodge ended up taking the job at Chapman, I had reached out. Some of my former coaches, actually Coach Gentry, who's the AD or the former AD at Landrum, who's going to be at Spartanburg this upcoming year. I'd reached out. I remember sitting in the upstate library and sending them both an email, just, hey, can I help? Can I do anything? And had the opportunity to get plugged in at the middle school level as I was finishing college. And it's amazing how God works out. I ended up getting my first teaching job, went back to Chapman, where I grew up, where I played, and where I knew so many people. And the very first year, I was fortunate that Coach Hodge entrusted me and gave me the blessing of being able to coach quarterbacks and just kind of hit the ground running from there. And then we obviously had a lot of success together on the field, but also learned a lot from what it means to care about kids, what it means to run a program that's kind of a total player development program. And then based on that success, was given an opportunity to go to Spartanburg. I think which surprised a lot of people. It surprised myself. There was times in my life that if you would have told somebody that I was leaving Chapman or leaving my hometown, they would have called you crazy. But it's been one of the biggest blessings in my life. I've grown so much. You know, sometimes when you grow up in a place, that's all you know. And in a way, I think that I would even categorize myself as sheltered to a bit. You know, you didn't know any better. You didn't know different styles of leadership. You didn't know how different places worked. And so to be in a different place and then have the blessing to go to a place like District 7 in Spartanburg with the type of leadership that they've had. I worked for two great principals in Vance Jones and Dr. Mack during my time there. And obviously we kept so much of our staff from Chapman, which is a very unique thing in this profession at this level, for you to be able to take that many people and go to a place together. So it was a really comfortable feel. And we were obviously able in these past few years to be able to kind of bring our program back at Spartanburg to the notoriety and where it belongs. So over the past 10 years, just been blessed to be around really great people, really great coaches, and really great leadership and administration. And then that's led me here and hoping to be able to take a lot of what I've learned and the success that I've seen and being able to implement it into this school where we get to start from scratch. You know, every single thing that we're building is really through our blueprints, and I get to have my hands on that planning process. Oftentimes it is scary at times because you're thinking about what you need to do and how to build it, but it's comforting as well. You know, if something doesn't go wrong, I don't have to blame anybody else. I get to look in the mirror and I get to talk to myself and say, look, you know, if you don't like it, let's find a way to fix it, and let's make sure that we're doing it the right way to benefit kids and the people that are involved.
So, Coach, you mentioned now you had, you know, great success as an assistant, multiple state titles, you know, deep playoff runs, a bunch of D1 kids moving out of your program. How did you know, I guess, for you that it was the right time to kind of take that next step and become a head coach?
Yeah, I identified really early that I thought that this is what I wanted to do. I thought that I wanted to be a head coach. And when you're young, I think you think being a head coach entails more of a football side of things than it does behind the scenes. So I was fortunate to be given some roles to where you really learned what it takes to be a head coach behind the scenes, community relationships, your organization skills, the logistical standpoints, the finances, and where you're at. So having that opportunity to be exposed to those things at such an early point in my career. And at Chapman, we were in a point of transition. We were really successful, and being as open and honest and transparent as I can with you on the internet, I think at that time I probably thought I was ready. And looking back, I've been very thankful and honest with myself that I probably wasn't. So over the past 4 years and being at a different place and continuing to grow in that role, I think that it's really put me in a place where God's wanted me to be, and that I feel like I'm fully prepared to take on the job and the responsibility now. And maybe not so much when I was 25 years old and 26 years old that I would have told you at the time.
Coach, you mentioned like building this program here, and, you know, kind of sounds like the administration has given you, you know, free reign to build it in your image, what you want it to be, you know, but I want to ask you about the time element. What's it like being, you know, given the, you know, the time that you've been there for these past, you know, however many months, you know, almost over a year now. Like, what's that been like? How has that assisted you in not having to just jump in and play games as a first-time head coach?
Yeah, the transition period has been nice at times. You know, I feel like it's went by really fast. I feel like I was sitting here this past July, and I was like, man, we've got plenty of time before we have to worry about it. And now you're looking down the road and you realize, you know, summer's right around the corner, and we're going to have 5 to 6 weeks together after our breaks, and then fall camp hits, and then boom, here we are. We're playing our first game, and a collection of guys that haven't spent a lot of time together. So the time component has been great. You know, obviously in my role as the athletic director as well, we've had to do a really good job of hiring all of our other coaches. It's given me time to evaluate and hire staff as well. One of the most important things that I've been able to do is really put together a staff that I feel like, especially in our situation, a first-year head coach, to put together the kind of staff that we have with a collection of guys, not just the experience part. I think the resume on the football field speaks for itself, but something I really knew that I wanted to do. I'm a very relational coach. It's what I believe in. I know that you get sometimes you'll get a label as a player's coach, and somebody can frown upon that. And I try to explain, look, you know, that being a player's coach doesn't mean that we have to be best friends, but it means that kid knows that I care about him, you know, and I don't have to be threatening him to do something for him to understand that it needs to be done. You know, our relationship with those players come because we truly care. So as I was evaluating who I wanted to join my staff, which I knew was going to be very important, there's going to be a foundation that I have to set, but the extensions of our coaching staff that we had to put in place, I wanted it to be evident that the people we hire truly care about kids, and that's what they've done in their career, and that's what's most important for them. It can be, maybe it's not the correct statement, but I feel like the football part is going to be the easiest part of our jobs. You know, the X's and O's. What we've been put to do in this profession and where we've been placed in this program is to try to make difference in people's lives. You know, listen, I've been in this job now for, you know, I really feel like it's heated up since Christmas time. And a lot of the conversations get directed back towards results of scoreboards and how much you're going to win and lose. And I'm not naive. I know that me being in this seat, I'm going to have to be successful. You know, you don't have opportunities if you're not successful. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I also know that there's a greater responsibility that we have. So having a place where I really get to build a program that is the design of what I want, it really puts the focus of our kids first, and that's academically, socially, emotionally, where we can really tackle those things. I'm excited to get back into a smaller school. I think that is one thing that I miss from where I grew up and where I was at in my first location, is just being able to be around those kids and have a true relationship with them. You know, we're going to open up this first year, we're going to have 500-ish students. That is a very small school. Now that's 7 through 12 as well. You know, we're 7 through 12 under one roof. So you're talking about 300-ish high school students. But for me, that gives me the opportunity to be plugged into their lives, gives me an opportunity to be plugged into who they are and what they need. So just really excited about it and the opportunity that we have to build something that I think is going to be really special.
You hit on it there for a second, Coach. Talk about your staff. You know, is that fully filled out now? You got a couple spots you're kind of looking for, or how's that staff shaping up for you?
Yeah, we have 2 defensive positions that we'll be announcing soon, a defensive line spot and a linebacker spot that we'll be filling out. The offensive side of the ball has been filled, what we've been able to do. So coordinators are in place on the offensive side. Frankie Keller will be our offensive coordinator. Got to meet with Coach Keller when he came to work with us this past year at Spartanburg. Just one of the greatest people that I've ever met. And I tell people, you know, for me, he's not going to be with us long. He has aspirations to be a head coach as well. And to have the opportunity to have him in our program is something that I'm really thankful for and that I'm blessed for. Just someone who's committed on a daily basis to try to do everything he can to benefit kids and to try to help them grow and to be there for them. We talked a little bit before we had got started. Colton Bailey, he's going to be our quarterback's coach. Just a full circle moment for me, the person that I started off coaching in that similar role. The quarterback play in our program is obviously very important. It's what we hang our hat on. It's what I hang my hat on. And it's an extension of the coaching staff. So being able to have someone like him, who I know thinks really the same way that I do. We speak the same language. It is very important. Jameson Soulsby coming over as our wide receivers coach, who's been with us. He coached with us at Chapman, coached with us at Spartanburg, a familiar face. Coach Soulsby's a person who is a workaholic in a good way. He's going to do every single thing that he can, and if that means he's got to go pick something up, he's going to go pick something up. He's going to continuously work for your program and what you're doing. Jacob Morris, another former Chapman player that we coached on our staff. So as you keep going through these things, that you can see how important the relationship part is for me, and the relationship part of the foundation of our program. It's a group of guys that want to be together. You know, I've heard in this role all the time, look, you're going to have to be around these guys all the time. Those relationships are going to change. And I've really tried to in the early going, and I know there's times where that's not always going to be true. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but I've in a way tried to challenge that narrative that I think that we can do something a little bit different. You know, I think we're all excited about going to a place on a daily basis where we want to be together. We want to work. We know that the coaching lives that we have and the hours that you put in, it's long. So having a group of guys with you that are collective in the same mindsets, and that you want to spend time with, and that their families want to be here, and that they're bringing their kids to practice, and that it's truly a family atmosphere is really important. Coach Biggs, Coach Goodwin, he's coming over from Burns as running backs coach, so somebody who's done it at a high level. So our offensive staff is really in a great place. Defensive coordinator, Coco Henderson. You spend a minute around Coco, you're going to be fired up. That's who he is. Just a person that's a man of faith, a person who has dedicated his whole life to serving his community, and having the opportunity for him to come over and take that next step in his career to lead the defense for us. I couldn't have been happier to have him on board. And then obviously Stanley Buster Hunter, another guy that is very vocal in the community, from the types of events that he puts on for kids and how he gives back. A person who's played at a really extreme high level, another high energy guy. Our staff is from an energy standpoint. There's something that was very important for me. You know, I wanted people that were going to be in the room that kids were fired up to be in our building. Kids were fired up when they're at practice, and that energy level continues to maintain. So we've been together. It's been fun to start putting together staff meetings, and as we start putting together schemes and X's and O's and blueprints and install plans of what we want to do. Just being around a round table on a conference table, seeing the excitement and seeing the energy and the passion that these people have makes me feel really good as a head coach. You know, I've learned very quickly that a lot of the things that I'm used to doing and having my hands on a daily basis in practice, being able to get to different things, that's going to be gone. You know, you can try to do as much as you want to, but you better have guys that are in place that you can trust, and guys that you know are going to do a right job. And, man, if there was a day that right off the bat that I didn't have to be there, and I know that those are the guys that we have in place on our staff, I couldn't be happier. So just really blessed and thankful to have those guys by my side as we get going.
Coach, I love this interview. You're doing a fantastic job giving us natural segues here. I want to ask you about those schemes and, you know, what you're going to implement on the offense and defensive side of the ball here coming up. Are you going to call plays? You mentioned you have offensive coordinator in place already, but will you call plays or kind of just be that CEO out there running things?
Yeah, you know, scheme-wise, you know, even going into this, I've always been a big believer of dictating your offensive style from the offensive side of things to who your personnel is. This is high school. You know, you're not going to guarantee who you have. You don't know what style of players you have. We have been really, really successful at the quarterback position over the past 10 years. So three quarterbacks to play, you know, all three all-state players, all three Mr. Football Award finalists, Shrine Bowlers, North-South participants. But as you look at them, their strengths were all very different. You know, you look at Colton, who's going to be with us in coaching quarterbacks. I'm not afraid to tell him he'll be watching it undersized, but just a gamer. Was very smart, will put yourself in, could make plays with his feet, smart, knew where to get the ball out. And then you bring McKaylee in, a larger guy, still had enough running ability, but very cerebral, knew the game very well, could start attacking different areas of the field that we've been able to do in the past. And then we get to Spartanburg, and you have Raheem, who's also a different breed. You become more of that pocket passer and different things and true play action. So we continue to mold the offense based on what their strengths are. We mold the offense based on what the strength of our offensive line is. What's the strength of our skill players? What can we do? Going into this, not to give any secrets, because I believe it's things that we've talked about before and that I truly believe at this level. Really why we've been really successful in our offenses every single year is because the quarterback's an extension of the coaching staff. So you asked, are we going to call plays? I'll be honest with you. If you watch our offense on a Friday night, our quarterback's probably calling 40% of the plays himself. So they call the plays. And that may be them checking into plays. It could be giving them multiple options within a play. I like to think that we're really good at our job. I mean, who doesn't? If you want to say that we spend a lot of time watching huddle, we spend a lot of time watching tape, and we're breaking down different tendencies and different coverages and what looks and formations and matchups that we can get to. But the other guys on the other side of the field, on the other sideline, they're really good too. And we're going to be going into a region this year that's known for tradition. And, man, there's so many great coaches around here that you can go in and you can game plan as much as you want, and you can line up and you can call a play, and I can call it and I can love it. And guess what? They just beat you. They lined up in the right thing. They've got the right blitz call on. They've got the right coverage on, the right alignment, whatever it may be. That defensive coordinator did his homework too. Well, I don't want to give away 40% of our plays at night. Let's just say that I beat him 60-40. Well, we empower the quarterback through the whole time. That's starting at the 7th grade level, 8th grade level, all the way up to our varsity level, for them to have freedom to change plays. And people are like, that's crazy. I can't believe you do that. And it's like, well, I would have said that at the beginning, but I can tell you that it works. And they're 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and they make mistakes just like we make mistakes. We make bad calls. We do things that are not what we want to do on Friday nights, and they're going to too. They're going to make a bad read. They're going to check you into a bad play. But the way that we coach them up and they come back on, it pays off in the long run when you come back in the next drive and you are dead in the water on a play call and he checks you into a touchdown. So they're truly an extension of our coaching staff. That's why we've always been successful. I would encourage any coach that as you get into this, that if you truly want to have a successful offense, that quarterback position, you've got to be allowing them to make those decisions. That doesn't just happen on Friday nights. That's how you practice. That's how you put it into play and what you do. As far as calling plays, I couldn't feel more comfortable with Coach Keller being our play caller. He's not naive. He knows that I'm going to have suggestions at times, what we want to get to and where we want to go. And we'll have those discussions, I'm sure. And he's an OL guy, so I think hiring a guy that meshes well with me being able to handle some of the passing game. You're throwing Colton in there, you're throwing Jameson in there. That have a passing background, then obviously we have the trenches handled, that it gives us a really great mixture of being able to see and identify things that we want to get to and being able to match the pass game to the run game. So he'll be handling the pass calls. And then on the defensive side, man, we want them to fly around. We want them to have fun, and we want to keep things simple. I see this all the time. We go to some college places and you start looking at schools that have the most success. You start looking here, it's like, that's all they do? Man, this seems really basic. And yeah. I think there's power to that. For as much time as that we get with these guys at the high school level, they have so much on their plate, at our school, in the rigorous academic track that they're going to have, that's going to have a focus for us. And the time commitments that we have, you don't get 4, 5, 6 hours with these guys. You want them on Friday night to be confident in their ability. You want them to know their assignments, and you want them to be where they're supposed to be. So I think that's how we're going to attack it. I'm giving those guys on the defensive side of the ball, the dark side of the ball, I still give them a hard time. We'll compete on a daily basis. I still give those defensive guys a hard time. So with their skill, knowledge, and their expertise of where they played and what they've done, I'm really excited to see our defense. I think it's going to be an attacking style. I think we're going to be really aggressive in what we do, which I think is important. My mindset is shifting a little bit, just being honest and transparent with you again that, 5A football, going back to my days in 3A football, schemes are different. Style of play is different. So it'll take some time as we start evaluating and getting back into that. What works, what doesn't work, what needs to be done, and what we need to do to be able to modify some things that maybe I've been doing the past 4 years that maybe in a good way or a bad way that we either add to or take away.
Coach, I know you've been with, Coach Hodge for a long time. I'm sure he's been a big influence on your career, but who are some other coaches maybe at the high school level, maybe even college or pro, you like to kind of like pick things up from, or maybe have kind of been a little bit of influence on you as you've kind of gone along?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you work with a guy and for a guy for 10 years, it becomes a lot of what you believe in. I think there's going to be some natural components of our program that's going to be taken from the success that we had at Chapman and Spartanburg under the leadership of Coach Hodge, just because it's worked. I'm a relational coach, like I mentioned before. So much of that is being involved with coaches at the next level. I love to be able to go and reach out to coaches and learn. Recruiting is becoming more and more difficult for high school athletes. So there's benefits to both. You're able to go and visit, you're able to learn, and I think they appreciate honest and open conversations and people that truly just want to learn why they do what they do and some behind the scenes things. And then it also helps in that recruiting component. As you get opportunities, they want to feel like if they're coming to you and they're going to take a player from your program, that they can trust who you are and what you've been doing. As far as what coaches I reach out to, man, we're in Spartanburg County. We're in the upstate. I don't know which ones I wouldn't reach out to. I think it's such a tradition-rich place. Listen, we're jumping into a region, year one, where there's so many great coaches leading programs and great schools around here. And in Spartanburg County, in my mind, it's the football capital of what we've done. And I've just tried to take my time as a young coach, and any opportunity that I've been given to spend time with any of these coaches in this area to pick their brain on how they've been successful. Not necessarily the X's and O part. I think that comes from your own and how much you want to study in clinics that you go to. The game has really evolved. I think back to how I coached quarterbacks and offensively 10 years ago to where we're at now. Man, it is just so drastically different. The style of play, the things that you're doing, the mechanics, the fundamentals, it changes on a daily basis. I think where people really set themselves apart is what they're doing behind the scenes and what is their focus on the player development side? What are their relationships with their staff that's in the building? What's the relationship with their communities? I feel like we're in a dream profession. I get to work with our local parents. I get to work with our communities. I get to have those players plugged in to really important people. So those relationships that you're able to establish, I think that the common denominator that I've seen in any program that's been successful in this area is a coach that's really made those things, meaningful to them beyond the X's and O's. So I've tried to take bits and pieces as we've laid the foundation here and try to plan this program to put that in place. Those relationships are always going to be important as we start this thing and how we build it. So I'm looking forward to trying to take a lot of what I've learned from a lot of great coaches in this area and try to make it a cumulative landing place for a lot of those great ideas.
Coach, like our mission statement here at Moving the Chains is really to amplify the players and give them a platform. And that's what we like to do. We like to focus on the players. And I know this is kind of difficult for you because you haven't played any games yet. You got a new thing, but who are some special players that we should potentially be looking out for so we can get an early scouting report? Not trying to give your competition a leg up, but we need a basis too so we can give these guys some shout outs in the fall.
No, I obviously, we are in a different situation as far as kids being able to come to our school and where we're at. And for some of those, I don't even know what the roster looks like. We won't know until they show up on June the 3rd. So when you're talking about, what does the offense look like, man, some days we're in the office and you're planning blind. You're like, man, this would work good if we had this kid or that, this type of kid, but you don't know. Sure. We don't know what's going to show up in the summer. We do have some kids in relationships and parents that we've established that obviously they've already felt comfortable in announcing that they're going to be coming next year. And that's a different dynamic in itself. Obviously our quarterback next year, Bryson Drummond, just in the limited time that I've got to spend with him and his family, just a really special young man. I really feel like he fits the mold of some of the previous players that we've talked about. A true leader as we get started. Just a phenomenal person who really cares about the success of others just as much as he cares about himself. Just a really selfless person, man. I've been really impressed in the time that we've had. And obviously, as we try to get this off the ground, he's in a really pivotal moment in his life. So to take the opportunity to come to a school and entrust us with really his most important years and where he's going to be spending the rest of life has been very important. I think he's going to have a huge year. I think he's a very special and talented player. On the defensive side of the ball, I'll talk about kids that have, quote unquote, made it known on social media, so I can feel comfortable to talk about them.
Love that.
Quay McCauley, he's going to be on the defensive side of the ball for us, defensive end. Another kid, and the time that I've had, obviously we got to watch them a little bit in the coaches combine this past week. I'm more excited about the person that they are. Man, I don't know how we got so fortunate to have those kind of kids. Just a person that wants to work. He'll text our coaching staff, what could he do already to get better? I mean, we're not even practicing. We don't have practices lined up. Videos on his own and training and asking what he can do, and to be that. And then Katie Hainsworth is going to be an athlete for us at the wide receiver position. Just a naturally gifted speedster that I think is going to take the next step forward in his progression at wide receiver. He just picked up an offer from Coastal Carolina. He's a guy that I think is going to really show up on the map as one of the best players in our state this year. So those are three guys that I feel comfortable talking about. Perfect. And that I know that their families wouldn't be upset with us mentioning it, since they're promoting their MVP gear and they're promoting their school already on social medias and things. So just really excited, been in conversations with a lot of coaches already. So a difficult dynamic for us. Sometimes names pop up on paper and spreadsheets and what you have, and you don't know if they're coming, don't know if they're going, staying, different things. It's been a really difficult part of the process. It's unique to this area. I understand and realize that. Something that's never been done here in the upstate. I know that other parts of the states have went through this process before. Listen, I grew up in a traditional setting, so being introduced to the charter world, I promise you, I'm learning on a daily basis just as much as other people are.
Since obviously the roster is still kind of, I guess being built or coming to form, we don't really know yet, who you're going to have. Have you been able to, schedule any 7-on-7 stuff this summer or anything like that? And then are you a fan of that? Are you more of an 11-on-11 guy? Like, what do you prefer, Coach?
Well, we may be crazy, but we're going to have our first official practice June the 3rd, and then we're scheduled to go to a 7-on-7 on June the 6th. So
getting after it, I like it.
Yeah, we'll now how basic we look, I don't know, but we're going to throw them out there. We're going to go and compete. So we have a pretty full 7-on-7 schedule. I know this sounds weird coming from a quarterback guy like me, but it's not my favorite. I think it has its pros. Obviously, it teaches kids to compete. And quarterbacks can benefit, and obviously your skill guys can benefit from routes and timings of that nature. I have never been a part of a program, and that's just been on, and it's a little bit new, the 11-on-11. But I do believe that we're going to pursue some of those opportunities. Why this year? Because we need to try to get as much full team work as we can. We're going to have such a limited time this summer with these guys. You've got vacations built in. You've got guys going on college visits, which we want them to go on. You got them going to showcases. We've got a 4th of July week built in. Then you have the dead week at the end of July. So you're looking at a 6-week period, and then there's a give or take days where kids aren't going to be there, different things going on. If we're lucky, we can get them together 4 to 5 weeks throughout the summer, and then boom, here comes fall camp, and we're ready to get the ground rolling. So we're going to try to pursue some of those 11-on-11 opportunities. It's new to this area. Not a lot of teams in the upstate are doing that. I'm fortunate enough that I have a couple of coaches on the staff that have been familiar with it, because I'm not, to kind of explain how that works, and then reached out to some coaches. So we're going to try to at least do 1 or 2 11-on-11s just to give us an opportunity to get those guys together collectively, that I think will help speed up the process a little bit. I think we're going to do a good job of balancing, knowing that it starts off our non-region schedule and how we built it, knowing that we need to try to get ready, come region time. That's going to be our major proponent. I will take this from Coach Hodge. I've always believed in this. You got 2 goals in in a program. One is to make the playoffs, and the next one is to win a state championship. So if you can make the playoffs, you got a chance. So, we're going to talk about celebrating small victories, of course, but especially in our first years, we need some time to build and develop and create the cohesiveness that we need in our group. I'm thankful that we've got some time in those non-region games to be able to try to get that done as we get into that slate of region games, which features a lot of really great teams and great coaches that are leading those programs.
On to a fun one, Coach. Going into my fourth year of covering high school football in the state of South Carolina, and theme that has prevailed the most is charter schools. You mentioned being in Spartanburg, the capital of football in the upstate. You guys kind of been shielded in the upstate away from this stuff. We've had it in the Midlands, had it in the Low Country. So we'll probably have some new viewers. We have the private schools over in Greenville County. But if you don't mind explaining, what you guys do as charter schools, maybe some misconceptions there. But, if you don't mind just explaining it from your perspective.
Yeah, we are a tuition-free charter school or public school. We follow under the same guidelines and as any other traditional school would have to from a public standpoint. Where we change a little bit is we have a flexibility to offer some different things. Here at MVP, there's a couple of things that we're hanging our hat on. We have dual credit classes that give you the opportunity to earn up to 60 college credit hours. A lot of times that gets argued and places say that they offer that too, which they do. And we're just trying to give more opportunities to more of our school population to get those besides just a small amount. So that's based on a relationship that we have with Spartanburg Community College where they'll be able to get those college credits. We've got 2 tracks here at MVP. It's an honors track and a college track. So when you talk about the academic portion of our curriculum, it's rigorous. It's going to take some time. We're really excited. Obviously, if you're coming in as a younger student, that's perfect. It gives us an opportunity for you to learn what that looks like. And obviously, we have some older kids as a first-year school that we coming in to fill out our student enrollment. Depending on where they're at, that depends on where they fit into that track and what we need to be able to do to try to maximize those areas. Where we really set ourselves apart and what's different and what you can offer is our career and technology courses. You can see is anything that we promote. It's a sports and entertainment charter school. And a lot of times, listen, I get it. I'm not saying that our founders of the school weren't smart. When you say MVP, I hear the comparisons to IMG and all those things. And I'm like, man, you tell me where I can invest. IMG sold for $1.2 billion last year. So that's what we're going to be. You tell me where we can invest. We also don't charge $80,000 tuition either. So
there we go.
So it's going to be a little bit different than what people believe. But the sports and entertainment comes from our career and technology classes that gives them an opportunity to earn that CTE completer certificate and a work-ready portfolio. So we'll offer classes that are sports marketing, business classes, sports medicine, videography, art design, graphic design, where they're able to earn those CTE completer certificates. And where this model comes from is really based on what the State Department has told us that is important for kids to be able to get to the next level in college, what earns them scholarships, what earns them the opportunity to be able to continue their education, what gets them work ready. And that's really placing the emphasis on dual credit hours, and it's placing the emphasis on that CTE and career classes. So it's trying to be put together a model that is something different and unique. I tell people all the time, listen, I get that I'm into a role now where people want to be really divisive. And I could sit here and talk. I would never spend a time trying to say that what we do and compare to a different school, because I believe that each and every school in this area has benefits for students and does a really good job of their programs. What we've done is provided a choice. That's what a charter school is. And again, it's new to me. But I do know that it's not going away. I do believe that as I've been in this, it's important to give families a choice. I look at all these coaches that are in my profession, and I like to give them a hard time, and I can hear different things. But at different times, we've all made a choice for our family, whether it was to move to a different job, and we thought that was okay. Because we thought it was benefiting our family. So I think just because it happens a little bit earlier and in education, it gives an opportunity for families to make a choice. And we're not, obviously we can't make anybody come to school. So we've had lots of conversations and real and honest conversations with students and families and they've realized that maybe their best opportunity to move forward and to give them success is not here. And that's okay with us too. We understand that. We just want to try to give them, if they feel like this is the best pathway for their student success and for their family, then that's where it's at. I get it, man. I grew up in this area. I know for 60 years it's been done the same way, and that's what the expectations are. And anytime you've got something new, there's going to be a lot of, I guess, pushback, so to speak, sometimes. Our job is to try to educate people. We know that sometimes that's difficult to do. But the longer I've been into this process, I really realized that, man, my responsibility is to those students that we have coming in our doors next year, to those families that are really committed to us, that are really excited about what we can provide. And for me, I try to do a really good job. I'm a personal and relational person. Like I said, I'm not confrontational at all. I don't think you'll see a ton of me going back and forth with people on social media and doing that. I don't believe in it. I believe in the people that we have around, and that we have an ultimate responsibility to try to help those people the best that we can. And that I don't want to waste, have wasted energy on people that there's going to be a lot of people that are unhappy regardless of what we do. I just know that from my chair, I can only do one thing. I can make a commitment on a daily basis that regardless of what a scoreboard says, that I'm trying to do every single thing that I can to help those kids that walk in. I'm trying to make them better people, trying to provide them with avenues to grow in every aspect of their life. So the blessing that God's given me in this role to have that opportunity, man, I couldn't be more excited. And I do think that as time goes on, you're going to see a lot of schools. We're going to morph and change and evolve. And I think what you're going to realize in this area that we all kind of come to an agreement on doing some similar things. I've seen in the past couple of months, there's a lot of different schools and areas that have done a lot of different things in the past few months. And I thought they've been great. And I think it's because of competition, and I think it's based on new things coming about. But anytime that you're providing something new or better for students, that excites me. And I could care less what school they're at, and if they compete with us on Friday or not. If collectively everybody in this area is trying to do the best thing that they can for students, and we continue to evolve in the education system, and athletically we benefit from that, and I think that's a win-win situation for everybody.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you diving into that, because like you said, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. Appreciate you kind of getting some facts out there for the folks and kind of explaining what you guys are looking to do there at MVP. But let's get a quick commercial break, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Coach, a couple easier ones here before we let you go for the night. So maybe on a Friday night, if it's a home game, maybe in your office, maybe on your bus, for an away game, what's on that pregame playlist as you're getting ready to go to battle out there?
I listen to. I'm a sports guy. A lot of times I'm either listening to a podcast of some sort that's sports related. If I'm into an enjoyable moment, it's probably country music. I know that's a boring answer. Kids will not like that answer at all. Not at all. Or more times than not, it's Christian contemporary music, especially in the new role. Man, I think it's going to be really important to try to keep my mind in the right perspective and calm at times. I know that, man, when we get rolling, I can't imagine the emotions that would be coming across, especially early on as I venture into this new role. So I would say if I had to guess what's going to be on the playlist, it's probably going to be more geared towards that Christian part, trying to make sure that I'm in the right mindset to lead the team on Friday and not too high.
The MTC question that we ask everyone that joins our program. Greenville County guy, I don't venture across the border too often unless I'm going to the airport. But if I do go over there, I need something to eat. And you know all about Spartanburg and surrounding areas. So you got to tell me, if I go over there, where should me and Kevin go get something to eat? Maybe if we're catching out the first, MVP game this fall.
Yeah. So I live over on the east side of Spartanburg, man. Our favorite place to go, Hannah and I, is to Gerhardt's. It's got a little bit of everything that you want. And you want to dive in. It's got a situation. It's a sports area on one side. You can get something as simple as pizza, what you want. But if you want a great steak, you want a great pasta dish, fish dish, it doesn't matter. an Austrian restaurant that does a little bit of everything, that would be the place that I would recommend. We go there all the time. It's top notch.
Love it. Love it. Coach, I know, this time of year, you're a big golfer. Spring, we're getting some nice warm weather here. How's the game looking? Have you been able to get out there a whole lot yet this year?
Man, we took a trip to Pinehurst early in spring break, which was great. I haven't got to play a lot, man, in this new role. The golf game and golf time has been limited. And in the meantime, what I've realized is what other head coach, I guess, Colton has picked up the game of golf, and he's in a different role. He gets to do what I used to do, which is play a lot. And he had never beat me until we went to Pinehurst. So my golf game was not in good shape, but I'm motivated to get my golf game into shape after I took a loss when we went up to Pinehurst. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully before we get crazy that we can go. And obviously anytime, man, the Masters is starting and you get an itch to go and play. So hopefully we'll get to play a little bit during the summer if we get some downtime.
Coach, our research department informed me that you were a NASCAR fan. Wanted to make sure. I should have confirmed this, but all fair.
Yeah,
okay.
I do enjoy watching NASCAR.
All right, so me and Kevin are big NASCAR fans, so that's great.
Absolutely.
Confirm that. Here's the question: how do we fix short track racing with this terrible car of tomorrow, or whatever? What is this thing called? Next gen car.
Next gen
car. I had this debate the other day. I think the easy answer that everybody wants to point out is the horsepower issue, and you get into looking at it, I think it's so hard from a financial standpoint and the quick fix. I think the easy ones to go to, one of the downforces got to change in the car, and then the next is the tire wear. I mean, you go watch I grew up, I loved watching Martinsville races, and for a guy to be able to put two tires on at Martinsville and go 180 laps on two tires, it was
I was sick watching that. I was sick.
And I think Bristol was pretty extreme with the tire wear, but I'd watch that race 100 times out of 100 compared to what they've done. So I think before they can get to a horsepower issue, you probably, and it falls on NASCAR and Goodyear to bring some tires that wear. I think you've got to put it back into the driver's hands. It's made it a little bit too easy at times to get around it.
Got these video game guys dominating the sport right now.
That's right. The environment, man. He's winning every race.
There you go. Last one here for you, Coach. I know it's still a ways away from the season, but what are some 2024 goals for you guys at MVP?
Man, I think we want to compete. I think that we want to establish ourselves as a program that ultimately does things the right way. I want to take a lot of pride in. I think it's become easy to allow kids to do some things that they feel like they don't have to do. I mean, it's the world that we live in. You can attribute that to social media and contribute to the society. And what I'm really wanting is that, man, when we show up to places that the adults that are there, that the people that watch us play are proud of our kids and who they are, how they behave, the language that they use, their mannerisms, and what they do. I think that's all of a byproduct of what ends up showing up on the field. I think that's going to take care of itself. I get it. We're in year one, man. I'm too competitive of a person. I'm not going to sit here and say, man, we want to take baby steps and we want to do these things. We're going to have lofty goals. Again, I don't know what the roster looks like, but man, you can give me a bunch of kids that just want to come and play football, and we're going to go after it. So from a wins and losses standpoint, I want to be able to compete. We've got a really tough schedule. We're jumping in at 3A classification. But most importantly, as we get this off the ground, I just want to be a program that's known for integrity, a program that's known for kids that are doing the right thing, our coaching staff being involved in the lives of our players and being involved in the community. And if we can do that, I think the rest is going to take care of itself.
This has been great. I want everyone to go follow Coach Ramsey and the Stars program on Twitter/X, Facebook. They do a great job posting highlights and updates about their programs. Definitely go do that and follow them there. Like I mentioned, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. Website, movingchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach Ramsey before we let him go tonight?
As always, Coach, we want to thank you so much for your time tonight, and speaking to us about your program, and not just that, you're taking on the role as the AD, so I'm sure you got a lot going on here, but we wish you, continued success in building that program and getting started in June. I know that's really exciting. Look forward to what you guys are able to accomplish in this first season, and I'm really looking forward to carrying on this NASCAR conversation after we wrap up here.
Yeah. Man, guys, I just want to say thank you for having me on and giving me the opportunity to talk about our program, talk about our staff, talk about the people that are involved. Man, just really appreciate what you guys do for high school football and the exposure for athletes. I think it's extremely important, the stories that you tell and the exposure that you create. So, man, you've got a forever fan of me, and I just appreciate it. I know it takes a lot of time. We talked about before you get on here. You guys devote a lot of time. It's 8:30 at night sometimes, and you got full-time jobs. So to spend your time to ultimately what you're trying to do is create exposure for kids and being able to do it for them. So thank you for having me on, and I really do appreciate it.
Coach, we really appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. We look forward to stopping by a practice or a game, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are welcome anytime.